Hi, welcome to Pop Robot TBI. I'm Celia.
Hey guys, I'm Chaffin. Thanks for joining us today.
Today we're going to dive into the world of mindset and mindfulness on the journey of healing from a TBI or really anything, but specifically when you go into the life of having post-concussion symptoms that are persisting for seemingly forever. But I think it's more than 6 weeks, 3 months. It's considered persistent.
I don't
Yeah.
know the stats.
Basically, if it goes on if your symptoms after a head injury go on more than a couple weeks, it's persistent, and it's going to affect all areas of your life. And you have this healing journey you go on. Um, and I've mentioned this before, but there are people that work in the concussion healing community that will say one of the components to pay attention to, one aspect is your mindset for healing. And I remember thinking, well, that I don't have to worry about that one because my mindset's good to go. Like, I'll just skip that. And I just never thought about it again. And then actually, I think it was like a year in after the head injury where I had a shift in my journey where I had a relationship end, and then suddenly it was just me in the concussion, just paying attention to myself. And I went through this little online program for concussion healing, and they mentioned the mindset piece, and it was like I was looking at my recovery in a new way, because I was like, well, everything I was trying didn't work. So I was going into it with beginner's mind, which is a really powerful mindset tool in itself of, just taking a backseat to like you thinking you know everything, and even something simple like choosing to look at it as if you don't know anything. And when you do the different perspective, you kind of open some windows where new information can make its way and be received. So anyhow, kind of beginner's minded it and went into the mindset portion and was instantly captivated. I remember watching a video that I send this to people all the time, and it's like a Chinese proverb. I think it's read by Alan Watts, and he like it goes through these different scenarios, and it's basically saying, if something bad happens, like as far as us labeling it as bad, it's like, well, maybe that's bad, or like, because we in the big picture of this life experience, all the puzzle pieces coming together, if we're just looking at this one thing, whether it's the trauma you've endured from, in my case it was a car accident, or you're going through your day after you're in a healing thing, and like something is hard in your experience, like whatever it is. I'm gonna lose my train of thought. There's a butterfly. Thanks, butterfly, for my pick me up. Anyways, at the window there's a butterfly. So that's very distracting.
Come back.
Bring me back, treatment. Okay, no. Okay, so let's see.
So the mindset shift, beginner's mind, proverb.
Yeah. So it's really like it all started with like anything that you perceive as bad is like, that's your perception, and you don't know the big picture, like why anything is happening. And it's like, so I'm always like thinking like, well, maybe, like people are like, oh, it's raining, this is terrible. I'm like, maybe, like, so that's my intro on, but I lose my train of thought because with the brain injury, I'll like run out of steam, and like, I guess I get distracted. I don't know, but I could go on and on about mindfulness. And so, Chafin, I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm happy to begin press start on me again whenever.
Beep boop.
Pause.
Pop robot. Yeah. No, I love what you just said though about not viewing it as bad, but viewing it as, I would say, more in a observance mode. Like you're observing what could it be, and it's like you're giving yourself the possibilities of could be good, so like could be bad, but like why jump to either conclusion?
Well, it's like I'm just want to add, it's also the thing I always say is that whether you perceive it as good or bad, and it's your choice to even, just like observe instead of label. Whoa, it looks like I have no hands.
Focus.
I'm so grateful for my hands.
Right.
Oops.
Though.
Okay. Is it good or bad? Okay, whatever, but it's happening no matter what it is, it's happening for us.
Yeah. I would say I was right along there with you. I've always been a positive person. So when I heard about, mindset's so important, I thought I got that in the bag, like no problem. A+ for me. Check that one off. I love check marks. But I was very much I went through a very depressed time. And it connected with my symptoms. So my symptoms were terrible. I was all over the place with doctors, and I was just having a very hard time being positive. And I was a very active person, and on top of it with everything, more so than I needed to be. And so going back and not being able to do any of this stuff, backwards in terms of my capabilities, my mindset tanked. And I remember I was seeing a life coach, and she was the one who really helped me implement something that I do in health coaching all the time. Like Celia and I are always asking each other, what went well? What did you learn? But I wasn't applying that to myself. And this life coach, she was like, Chaffin, like, well, what did you do that you can celebrate today? And I couldn't name a single thing. And she was like, did you get out of bed? And I was like, yeah, I got out of bed. And she's like, did you brush your teeth? I'm like, yeah, I brushed my teeth. She's like, girl, that's something to celebrate. Like you can celebrate anything and everything. You just have to change your perspective about it. And by starting to do that, I just remember that was a huge perspective shift for me, because by realizing those things were worth celebrating, it also just gave me so much more. It gave me gratitude, and then also gave me perspective to the fact that those small things aren't that small. And like, yeah, they used to be small to me, but now they're big things. And they've gone back into being smaller things as I've gotten better. But when I start feeling myself go into that, like, oh, I can't do it, or like my brain hurts, or that lacking mindset, like I'm lacking something, it's so helpful to pause and be like, all right, what can I celebrate? Like, what did I do today that I can celebrate? Whether it's so small, I looked out the window, like, I saw some trees and some sun. Like, you can change anything. So that was a big mindset shift for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a big deal. I do that too. Something I just thought of, like the ability to have mindset shifts and to have it affect your healing is so profound. And you could take it in any direction. You could work on it like full time, and you'll have plenty of work left to do. It's like a whole world. Something recently I did was I was like having responses to people in my head where it was like they would say something and I would be kind of, in my mind, I'd be like reactive, like I'm gonna defend myself, like basically I like dug into this, and I was like why am I like I'm like so sensitive to everything. And then I'm like, well, if I look deeper at this, I'm realizing my mindset is to assume that people don't have my best interests at heart, and that I can't trust them, and that they're coming from a place of trying to be mean to me. Whereas if I shift my mindset and I realize, like, these are people I do trust and they've never steered me wrong, why is my go-to that, oh, these people are attacking me? And really then I'm just misinterpreting what they're saying, and I'm taking my energy and I'm giving a lot of it to that. Where with TBI recovery, your brain energy is like your golden resource. Like, you don't want to give that away unnecessarily. So I was like, realizing when I'm having that feeling of like any kind of like negative feeling in regards to receiving information from someone else, I'm like, I have the opportunity, once discovered, to adjust my like foundational perception of what's coming in, so that I don't jump and like take this energy bomb and expend that energy when then I'm just upset and activated, when it's like I'm just misperceiving what people are saying. And like, I just feel like, does that make sense, Chafin?
It made complete sense. And I think it's so cool too, because what you're saying is just so important, I think, for every single person in this world. Not perceiving and not jumping to conclusions, and really going into that observance mode, kind of like that third party perspective of waiting for the person to act. And yes, of course, our past experiences are there to help guide us. So there is an aspect of that. But what's so cool is that you realized that, which is so hard to do, like, you realize some of your past experiences aren't necessarily helping you in the moment. Like, yeah, they helped you in the past to escape whatever you needed to escape, but now it's like you're in a safer environment, hopefully, with these people you're talking about. And so it's like that recognition is huge. You literally pressed pause on your life and you observed yourself and were able to come to that conclusion that, like, you're wasting that energy. Oh my gosh, I've done that so many times. I do that all the time. And yeah, it's just like we're literally wasting energy when we're jumping to conclusions and thinking the worst things, or the rabbit holes that my brain goes down. And I'm like, well, it could happen this way. Or if I said this person could respond this way, or they could respond this way. And it's like, there's just too much. So yes, I love what you just said.
Yeah. So then with mindset work, it's a practice like anything else. So I remember when a year into my recovery, and I just realized, wow, what I've been doing isn't working. And I just like let go of everything that I had been doing, and just kind of like walked down the sidewalk. And like, I remember like looking at a tree and being like I'd never had done this before, but I was like, universe, what do you want to tell me? Like, it's like, instead of being in my own bubble and like thinking I knew what I was doing and I was going to get through it, I just was like, I'm gonna drop all that. I'm gonna look outside of myself for the time being and be open to new information, because clearly I need new information. And I forgot what my point was.
I think you were just being open, and you allowed yourself to be open, which is really scary because it's different than what you know. And especially when you have a TBI, our brains crave normalcy. They crave something that isn't hard for us to think through. And so you being open to that new perspective and that new mind shift, I mean, it like broke you free and helped you in your healing journey, and continues to help you, and I think will forever help you. And I think that's like one of the strongest pieces of healing is the mindset. But like, the fact of the matter is, it's still scary and it takes a lot of energy to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, so you start, Lois was saying, it's a practice. So you start, once you like realize this is a thing, and you decide to like tiptoe your way into the water of the mindfulness practice. Chapin, I keep losing my train of thought. So you learn these different pieces along the way. This information comes in, and eventually you get to the point like where you're just like going within. And that's a whole thing. But then where I'm at now is I'm like totally into, in any situation, dropping into observation mode. And I think once you drop, like you kind of like take a step back. Like you don't actually step back, but you energetically like step back and like assess the situation in a different way. And then you can, wow, man, my brain is like glitching right now. But the observation thing is huge. And I have a point to this. Hold on. Oh, and so like once you're able to go into observation mode, that's when you can go dig a little deeper, because you're not looking at the same plane over and over and seeing your same solutions. You can step back, you can look at it in a different angle or whatever, dig a little deeper with like keeping your energy to your, pulling back your energy so you have some energy to look at it in a different way. Like it's a whole thing you can experiment with.
Yeah. I love what you said with just observing and pulling back. I'm an extrovert, and so I have felt the need for most of my life to create harmony in a group and to like be the extroverted one that gets everyone talking and make sure everyone is feeling included. And that does not work well when you have a TBI. It's exhausting. And I have noticed that by going into observance mode, I can still totally be extroverted and enjoy people's company, but there's a release of control. I don't think it matters if you're extroverted or introverted or ambiverted. I would say I'm an ambivert now. But the fact is, I find in myself, there's always this need to control, or a need to know how to respond or interact. And it takes so much brain energy to do that, especially when you have a TBI, because it's just overwhelming conversations sometimes. Especially if you're in the beginning of your journey, conversations can be so overwhelming. Or like Celia and I are doing so much better, but we have bad days still. And during those days, conversation's really tough. So by going into that observance mode and releasing ourselves from having that pressure of having to have the right response, or like knowing how to include everyone in the conversation, or knowing when to interject, or whatever it is, it's just like you're releasing it, and then you're just kind of observing. And I can't really fully explain it, but it has released a lot of pressure off of myself, and then my brain has been able to rest and enjoy and last longer in hanging out with people and conversing, because that brain energy is being stored and then actually used accordingly, instead of trying to do that controlling thing. What do you think?
I think you're like just so awesome and wise. You're like a wizard. Something so there's so much to the mindfulness world. You can read about it in any direction, all over the place. There's a zillion books. But there's something I'm now trying new, that I'll share. Is I've been advised to have a mission statement for my healing, and then have like a vision. Is it vision statement is the big one? And I don't know. Anyways, there's like a longer one that I could read like once a day. Then there's like a 2-sentence one that I can say to myself like 20 times a day. And it's basically like the belief that I'm going to get better, to be total healing. And so I'm going to, so I started doing it. I will say, to a certain extent, like I've believed it already, but I've noticed I have some resistance to it. So it's like let's see if I can remember my little statement. It's like, I am on the path and undergoing successive transformation. My body is healing. with peace and ease. It's like something like that. I'm pretty sure that was it. And it's like I'm supposed to say it and then believe, like feel into the vibration of believing it. And I'm like not really feeling into it because it's like something I need to work on. I need to like meditate and like do all the things, that help me get there. And like I'm going to get there and I plan on it. But like that's something that the people that are already better have shared that is the way to go, and that'll get you there. So I'm sharing that, and that's something that I'm working on. But there is some resistance, just because it is part of the mindset work is it's a process to believe that like this is how I feel now, and I don't know how to feel better, but I'm going to feel better. So like that belief that you could get there when you don't know how, but that's the thing, Chaffin, that's the thing is you got to say what you want. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. And like Chaffin, and here's another mindset thing Chaffin told me a long time ago that helped so much was freaking remembering it again. And I need to remember it all the time is you have your GPS destination and there you plug that in and like there could be like so many different routes. You can make up some crazy ass routes to get there. Doesn't matter. You're still going to get there. And, but like I don't know about you, Chaffin, or I do know about you, Chaffin. Like we want to know the best way and the fastest way. And so we stress out like, well, what's the best way to get there? And like, I don't want to mess it up, like it's a whole, the mindset thing is a whole thing, but
I love going back to that GPS thing. It's like, yeah, we want the best way to get there. But Celia and I have royally screwed ourselves up. Unintentionally, obviously. But like we have both done some stuff and we're like, probably shouldn't have done that. Celia's boat day. I can't think of anything I've done recently. Oh, like go through an airport and like ride the bumpiest plane when I was not ready to ride a plane yet.
Well, it's as simple as like watching a show and then watching another show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is me this weekend. So yeah, so it's like we screw it up. And I have to remind myself that like, yeah, I want the best way to get there, but life is still life. And like, there's going to be ebbs and flows, and there's going to be moments where we unintentionally hurt ourselves or we intentionally watch a show that we shouldn't be watching for that long. But like, we're still moving in that direction. What you've said this in another episode where it's like, we're on the upward trend. Like we are moving forward. And I mean, it is all over the place, but there's that steady upward trend, and having that mindset piece and like that perspective, that big picture perspective is so helpful. Because like when we have those lower days, we can go back into that big picture perspective and remind ourselves like, oh, this is just it's going to be a few days, might be a few weeks, but like it's temporary and we're still moving forward.
Yeah. Like, so yesterday I had a really big day, a full day of doing things, and I did really well. But then at the end of the night, I was like, what the heck? And I slept for 12 hours. So I wiped myself out. I was like asleep by 8 p.m., which is not me at all. And then today, like, you can tell, like my brain is like, it's okay, but I'm like losing my train of thought. Wait, I need to be nice to myself.
Be kind.
Okay, another component, if you want any advice at all, is to be kind to yourself, the way you talk to yourself. That's a really big deal. So I feel like, Chaffin, we touched on a lot of basics.
Yeah.
And I feel good about that.
Uh-huh. I think through all of it though, going back to what you said, is believing you're going to heal, like believing this is not going to be the rest of your life. I think that is huge. There's so many aspects we can go into, but we're going to stop here. And
well, okay, we're going to stop here, but I want to say one last thing. So we're actually not going to stop, but one last thing is the power of something that is seemingly the simplest thing ever can make the absolute biggest difference in your life. So don't underestimate like the magic of just the simplest concept being implemented in your life. And even if you just experiment for a short amount of time, magic. Bye.